I just finished painting this incredibly popular miniature from the WizKids. It's a Beholder, and they're having a hard time keeping it on the shelves. It's gotta be because it's the cheapest Beholder mini ever, and it's quite cool too. But I hope Dungeon Masters aren't running multiples of this thing to throw at their players, because even one Beholder has the potential to wipe out a party. I know, I've seen it happen. My friends used to own a game store in Apex, North Carolina. It closed about 4 years ago. They used to run bi-weekly events for Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 every other Sunday. 4 to 5 people would run one-shot adventures, and the idea was to let different people practice dungeon mastering, and also to let players try out different kinds of characters they might have an itch to try. Characters were created with a point-buy system. They could be of any available race, and you could even add templates to them, and you could buy a certain XP level of magic items. Now you're probably saying to yourself, wow, that level of customization could lead to a lot of min-maxing and power gaming. Yes it did. But the sentiment around the game store was, since this wasn't anybody's campaign and just a one-shot adventure, it was okay to try to run a Kryptonian Monk Paladin Berserker. Of course, this meant that running any module right out of the box was a masochistic act, as a party of thoroughly optimized characters will electric slide their way through any boxed adventure in no time. When it was my turn to run, I had come up with a really challenging one-shot. Or so I thought. The party would have to protect a group of refugees from a pair of giant homebrewed aberrations. You see, 3.5 had some really great tools for making your own monsters. What I did was I reskinned a couple of T-Rexes using the rules from the back of the Dungeon Master's Guide. I changed them from the Beast-type monster to the Aberration-type monster. They had all the stats of a massive super predator, but also anything they ate would rise again as undead shortly after being consumed. This was because their butts were placed above their flat beaver-like tails, and those flat tails were covered with a pattern of naturally occurring necromantic runes. On top of that, the creatures were poor digesters, and they didn't break down the bodies that they ate very well. This made them voracious, since they weren't getting that much nutrition from everything they ate, and it also meant that the bodies they excreted were largely intact. Yeah, they were basically just giant vicious zombie factories. Surely no party, no matter how optimized, wouldn't be able to take on a pair of vicious beasts that could poop an army of undead. But, no, my beasties and their horde of butt-born zombies could not match up to an arcane archer that dealt out more damage per round than a large catapult. No, literally, I know that because I gave the group access to a large catapult to fight the monster, and it did less damage than the arcane archer. And that was just one of 8 characters. But I was as guilty as anybody of making super munchkin min-max monstrosities that broke the game. I mean, I didn't always bring a crazy game-breaking character, but I did have a couple. Like Rocky, my dwarven monk with the mineral warrior template and vampiric nunchucks. He had a 24 constitution, 8 points of damage resistance, and he could heal himself for 2d6 every round. Of course, he didn't hold a candle to the changeling warlock with a plus 17 to his bluff checks, who could also cast the spell Shatter at will. That character single-handedly gave my dungeon master an ulcer, as he shattered every weapon raised against the party. Now maybe that doesn't sound like that big a deal, but in 3.5, if you weren't a monk or something with claws and fangs and you tried to throw a punch in the middle of a sword fight, you would open yourself up to attacks of opportunity. And having that Shatter spell at will was broken in other ways too, like you could hold your action until an enemy crossed over a rickety wooden bridge and then cast Shatter on the supports and drop them into the bottomless chasm below. Is there an assassin in a tree? Is that door locked? Is that chest locked? It was pretty tasty. My friend ran a few games in that format, and he found that no matter how much he tried to ratchet up the danger levels, the player characters always dominated every single encounter. I think my warlock might have been the straw that broke the camel's back, because after that, he stopped messing around. The next session he ran began with the party standing outside of a cave. We were sent in to wipe out some Dugar bandits that had been plaguing the locals. We found them inside, surrounded by their stolen loot, and though they had set up a little ambush for us, the fight that followed was quick, brutal, and completely one-sided. Little did we know this was done to lull us into a false sense of security. Well, that was easy.
Look, the cave continues further on.
I suppose it's our duty to explore it. There may be more Grey Dwarves hiding further inside the caves.
We came to an unlocked, untrapped door, and beyond that, a tight, winding tunnel. At the end of the tunnel lay a chamber with a very high ceiling. Inside was a group of trolls and minotaurs wearing full-plate armor. In the air above us, a beholder.
You have entered my lair. The penalty for that is death.
We roll initiative, and I go first. My changing warlock grabs the gnome wizard and bolts back out of the room. The rest of the party gets stuck in. The Beholder hits the group with its anti-magic eye, and now they suck. With no spells and no magic items, the trolls and minotaurs start eating their faces. They quickly drop the spellcasters, after which the Beholder closed his anti-magic eye and opened up with his eye beams, just dishing out massive damage to the remaining beefsticks. Finger of Death, Flesh to Stone, Disintegrate. And that was it. You know, it took almost 4 hours, but he wiped the entire party out. It wasn't fun or an adventure, but it was a learning experience. At the end of the day, you dungeon masters hold all the cards. There's no power gamer powerful enough to ruin your game, unless you give them that power when you don't adapt your adventure to their levels. There's no character or party that's too powerful to kill, and you shouldn't kill a party or character just because they're powerful. It's your job to make a fun adventure for every player, even the players that make that job a little harder. Guys, in the next couple of weeks, we're going to be doing some giveaways on our Facebook page. I'll be giving out some Bones miniatures. The only way you'll be able to get into that contest where you can win some free Bones miniatures is to be on our Facebook page. I put the link in the description below. Come on over, like and follow the Miniature Mashup Facebook page for a chance to win some Bones miniatures. I'll also be giving out some Pewter Reaper minis. I'm thinking I'm going to be doing this on Friday, every other week. As long as I get 100 new likes per week on the Facebook page, we're going to keep this contest up. Also, guys, I want to thank you all for subscribing. I'm at 6,200 subscribers now. The channel's really doing a lot better than it ever has. I'd love it if you could get the word of mouth out about this channel. Do you have a friend at the game table who hasn't seen one of my cartoons yet? Why don't you lay one on him? Maybe he'll thank you for it. And as always, I'd like to thank the folks who make this channel possible. They've donated to the GoFundMe for this channel. The link for that is in the description below also. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider making a small donation. Guys, we'll have another cartoon coming for you soon.